Good morning, Facebook. What's going down? I'm here today to share more wisdom. I'm here today to share more of my personal experiences. I'm here today to help you create the life that lights you the fuck up, to help you continue to choose love over fear, courage over comfort, creation over consumption, to help you know that anything that you want in this life, you can change. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm here for today. I'm out on my balcony. You're going to hear the birds chirping, the cardinals and the finches, and all the other beautiful birds I don't know, but I get to watch and see and listen to. You might hear some construction sound out there. For anyone who is watching live or whether you're watching the replay, check in with me, say hello, say good morning. I want to know how you're doing. I want you to share. Let's do a check-in, like take a breath with yourself. I'm going to do it right now. And just notice what's going on in your body, what's going on for you emotionally, and share in a comment, like what's up for you today, how you checking in. So for me, I'm actually in my body feeling some interesting feelings. About a month ago, I had that head injury, and so things are starting to heal and repair, but I'm noticing like little weird aches or tingles that are new in my skull. I'm really aware of that right now, and I feel very light because I've recently been doing an Ayurvedic cleanse. And then emotionally, I'm feeling grounded, and I'm feeling some gravitas of the times and of what's going on in the world. And I'm feeling a lot of joy actually today, sitting on that balcony. So how are you doing? Check in for me today. I see a couple of people are watching now. 3 people are watching now. Check in. How you doing? What's going on for you with your physical body, your physical energy? What's going on for you today in your emotional well-being? I want to hear from you. I want to know what's going on in your world if you're watching this. And so I'm going to check in and see who's actually commented in the moment. And what I want to tell you about today is we're going deep in Drop the Armor Dojo. We're talking about how we can transform when it comes to deeper love, how we can create more emotional mastery, more embodied wisdom. And also, we've been starting to talk about how we rumble with race and gender in a conscious way. And there's been a really thoughtful dialogue about that. If you want a place that, it's not a safe space, it's still on the internet, but if you want a place, it's a private group, where people can go and talk about their relationships, their emotions, their rumblings with racial justice, anything that will help them build a life that they want, choose love, courage, and creativity and creation. I want you to join Drop the Armor Dojo. I will drop a link in the comments right now. And what I really want to talk to you today about is about how I had this experience on Sunday, how this bike ride that I was on, that I was riding through this beautiful park, beautiful moment. I got caught in a storm, and really how my fear in that moment was just like the fear that shows up for me when it comes to unpacking my own privilege, when it comes to confronting and examining my own relationships to the toxic parts of me that still are connected to whiteness and racism, that still are connected to my masculinity and the toxic masculinity that's been taught to me and that pervades our entire world, that pervades especially our entire nation in a big way. So anyway, I'm about to drop that link to Drop the Armor Dojo. I want to see you in there, and I want to check it out. If you haven't been in there yet, you haven't checked it out, join us up. If you join it, you don't dig it, walk away. I don't care. It's all good. I just want to see you in the mix, get you in the conversation. So let me drop into the actual teaching today, the actual story that provides the teaching. And if you're making comments, if you're feeling me, if this resonates at any point, I want you to drop the heart emoji. If anything I say resonates, if it makes sense, if it inspires you, if it's interesting, drop the heart emoji to let me know that I'm on the right pace here. I might see some of those, I might not, but I'm about to drop into the teaching. I'm about to drop into the lesson right now in this moment. So really how I titled this is like how my fear of getting caught in the storm on a bike ride is just like my fear of confronting my toxic whiteness, my toxic masculinity. And the experiences I've had throughout the last 4 years really doing that work, trying to rumble and create better relationship with myself, with the world, with people of color, with women, as a white, cis, heterosexual man. So what was going on Saturday was like I was on this bike ride with Natalie, my beautiful partner, my amazing, brilliant, badass social justice warrior, human rights warrior partner. And I just got this new bike last week, and I'm like in Bliss Town, right? And I'm riding this bike, and we're enjoying it. We decided we're going to go on a long ride all the way down Beach Road. We ended up going like a 26-mile ride. And it was this beautiful day. It was getting really warm. I just got like my new smart wool on, so I was ready to actually exercise in more comfort and style. And I got this new bike, and everything set out to be beautiful. And we're riding, and I start to feel some discomfort. Something's wrong with the seat. The seat's bothering me, the saddle. Well, it turns out that when we adjusted the seat last, didn't tighten it enough. So halfway through this ride, I got this seat facing upwards, and it's like halfway up my butt. It's really hard and uncomfortable. And I'm just dealing with it till I finally notice and look down and realize this thing had gotten so jacked up. It wasn't just the way this saddle feels on my body. Tried to adjust it, but we didn't have a multi-tool. So meanwhile, I'm like constantly shifting and trying to figure out my position so I don't slide off the bike, so I don't get hurt, etc. Right? And as we're riding, we're about an hour and a half into this ride. We were riding for 2 hours total. We did 26 miles. We're probably about 20 miles in. We're close to home. And we see ahead of us, oh, it's a storm cloud. And there was no storm and no rain in the forecast on the weather apps. We both checked. And so meanwhile, I start seeing and feeling this energy brewing within me. I start seeing and feeling this energy of like fear come over me. It's like, I don't want to get caught in a rainstorm. My phone is going to get rained on and die. I don't have anything to cover it. This is a new bike. I'm not that comfortable on it yet. The pedals are slippery, all this stuff. All these fear thoughts start coming up. So then the storm hits. There's no way around it. We're in the eye of this thing, and it hits hard. And it's pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring on us. And my wonderful, wild, confident, embodied partner is just biking her heart out. So she's like, let's get home as soon as we can. Let's get through this as soon as we can. We don't want to be caught in lightning. So it is pouring, and it gets dark, and it gets cold, and I'm soaked and drenched. And I start worrying about my own physical safety. I start saying, I'm not experienced enough. She is booking it. There's no way I can keep up and still be safe. I'm going to crash. I'm going to get hurt. I start thinking about physical safety. And then, as I realize, you know what? I can always set my own pace. There's no reason for me to push myself to the point where I'm going to hurt myself. Then I start thinking about through scarcity lens, about my own property and my own possessions. It's like, well, I just got this new bike. I don't want to tank the bike and scratch it up. Then I start thinking about my phone. Oh shit, my phone is not waterproof by any means. I have this old iPhone SE from like 3 or 4 years ago. I love the freaking thing. It's just the right size. This is what I need, but it's not waterproof or water resistant. So I start freaking out thinking about my phone. It's going to die. I'm not going to be able to make the calls I need to make today because I'm in a moment right now in a community that I'm engaged in, that I have leadership in, that I got to make like 5 phone calls later. All this stuff. My clients need me. I need my technology. How am I going to live without my phone? And then I start thinking about scarcity of money. Like, oh shit, I just bought a new computer and I'm just about to move and I'm buying a whole new office setup and there's all this money I'm putting in. So gosh, I don't have the money, which is of course bullshit, because I can go generate the money even if I didn't have it. And I am privileged in many, many ways. But I start thinking, I don't have the money to replace a phone, which is bullshit. I can replace a phone. It wouldn't be a big deal. And then I start thinking about, well, if I don't make these calls today, people will be pissed at me. People are expecting my phone calls. I could lose my reputation. I could actually upset people. I could hurt people by not being there, not being in integrity the way they want me to. But then I realized I can ask for help. I asked for help. I screamed ahead to my partner. I asked her to slow down for me. And we decided to pull over for a moment. I needed to pull over even though it was pouring. I needed to reground. I needed to reconnect with my own sense of safety. I needed to feel like I had some sort of control in the moment. And instead of sitting in my fear and just trying to push through and feeling unsafe, I asked for help, something that is so hard for us to do a lot of the time. And then we pull over and I ask if she can protect my phone. And she just happens to have a shirt that's a little more water resistant than me. And she happens to have a pocket in it. She happens to have her phone, which is completely waterproof because she doesn't have an old iPhone like I do. So we put my phone under her phone and it's more protected. I also tell her, look, I would just want you to remember that my bike's heavier. I'm slower. I'm not as skilled. Can you slow down for me because I am afraid of getting hurt? And then we got back on our bikes. And within seconds, after I'd gotten through this bullshit that I'm not physically safe, that I can get hurt, I've regrounded myself in my own sense of safety, my own sense of security. And I realized that my assets are protected and there's nothing that can happen on this bike trip through this storm that could really affect my standing with the people that expect to hear from me. That could really affect my standing because I show up as a man committed to mission and committed to my values and open-hearted and curious and coming from love. So then I'm biking through this downpour and it becomes all of a sudden the most joyous experience I've had in months. This feeling of liberation. All these stories I tell myself about how I'm not safe. All these stories I tell myself about how uncomfortable it is to bike in the rain, about how I hate being drenched. All this bullshit about my property. Oh, it's going to take forever. My phone might get fucked up. My shoes. Oh my God. My shoes won't be dry if I want to go for a run tomorrow, and these are my only good sneakers. All this crap that I got through, once I let go of it, it was, and once I let go of the idea that I should be comfortable on this ride, that aliveness or peace or freedom or joy or challenge is supposed to come with comfort, then I was blissed out. I was experiencing my body. I was experiencing nature. I was experiencing freedom. I was experiencing a hard workout simply by transforming the beliefs that I had to be comfortable or safe to keep moving forward, to keep going through the storm. And it reminds me of the times in my past that I've made conscious choices to step further and further into unpacking and confronting racism in me, in organizations I volunteer in, within my own beliefs, within my own self, when it comes to confronting my identity and what parts of my identity are formed through a white supremacist culture or through what someone called toxic whiteness behavior and toxic whiteness mindset, which often centers a need for comfort, centers a need for resources, includes hoarding of resources, includes fear of loss of reputation, includes the idea that we actually aren't safe in our physical bodies without lots of protection and precaution. All of these pervasive ideas of whiteness, all of these pervasive ideas of toxic masculinity, really I was dealing with the fear that I have when I feel like I'm not in control or when I feel like I'm less skilled than someone else who's guiding me. These are some of my traits of toxic masculinity. So years ago, I've told the story multiple times. I joined this group was showing up for racial justice, which we were examining our whiteness and our masculinity, and it was uncomfortable. And I was learning to unpack this racialized and gendered identity, which has caused me harm and has caused me the experience of harming others unconsciously. It was uncomfortable. I was afraid all the time. I was constantly thinking, I could say something wrong and do something wrong to make these people not like me. I was also afraid of taking on beliefs and language that might offend other communities that were really important to me. I was afraid until recently to speak out and to speak out publicly about my beliefs, about my experience of learning, about my true belief that it's time for us to radically reconsider how we show up around race and how we show up around gender, and my beliefs around the damaging and harmful impacts of patriarchy on not just women and children and people of color, but men, even white men. I'm continuing to step into the fire. I'm continuing to pedal through the hard strokes of the downpour because I'm continuing to challenge myself and the idea that I need to be comfortable to do what's right, to do what's most aligned with my mission of helping people feel more love and freedom in this life and liberation in this life, of connecting with my values, of showing up in the world. It's important that I learn to drop my fear of physical safety all the time and know that A, I am more safe than most human beings in the world, and B, I don't have to always be physically safe to live a life that lights me the fuck up, to live a life of meaning, to unpack my privilege, to create more justice and equity for others. I don't have to do that. I don't have to be comfortable. I can challenge my worldview. I can be decentered, and it is okay, even though it's not what I'm used to. So the gift is on the other side that I have become a better human being. I have experienced a richer, more free, more alive experience of myself, more experience in my relationship, and experience in my communities, because I've been willing to go through the thunderstorm that is working on my toxic masculinity and working on the ways that white supremacy culture has still influenced my spirit, my soul, my actions, my language, my behavior, my worldview. And it's helped me become a bridge to others. And it's helped me liberate and help others see the light and start to feel better in their hearts, their minds, their spirit, to start to understand what they can do to educate themselves and to change their own experience and their own worldview. I've been given the tools, the ideas, the concepts, the histories, the frameworks, the practices, the rituals, the community, and the opportunity for relationships that have made my life 1,000% better in the last few years because I've been doing this work in the world, in the community, because I keep putting myself into trainings and community experiences and events where I'm the odd man out and I'm uncomfortable and I don't know the language and I don't know the history and I am the white hetero cis dude who often does get a target on his back, rightfully so, because we've been the experiencer of less oppression and systemic oppression. Racism doesn't hit us the way it hits other people. Sexism doesn't hit us the way it hits other people, because I've been willing to decenter my own pain, even though it's been hard to learn that. I have been gifted with reconnection to my ancestry, to spirit and spirituality and soul, to my body, to nature, to women, to people of color, to food, to joy, to music, to art. My whole experience of life is expanded. I have much more access to grief, much more access to joy, much more access to empathy and compassion, much more self-love. I feel more freedom within myself because I've been doing this work. Kind of like I felt more freedom in myself when I decided that I didn't need to have physical comfort and physical safety to experience joy on a bike ride through the rain. These are moments that we get to cultivate that help light us our life up when we step into the fire of working on our identity that is racialized and gendered. By looking at the ways that toxic masculinity still lives in me, lives in us, lives in you. And toxic masculinity lives in you, patriarchy lives in you, whether you're black, white, any color in the world, whether you're a man, woman, whether you're non-binary, because our world has been shaped by certain views, it lives in all of us. So we all have this work to do, and I'm going to continue to plant my flag, the flag of love as I'm calling it, and saying, I'm here to do the work. I'm here to share my experiences. I'm here to help other people, because your life, you watching, you listening, your life gets better when you learn to create transformational relationships with yourself through examining these really hard parts of your worldview and your identity. This past Monday, I took a major stand in a community that I love as a leader who will stand up for social justice and for human rights, who will stand up for oppressed voices. And it was a really big storm, and I was terrified, and there was real risk of losing my position and losing my safety and losing my comfort and losing the reputation that I've worked for. There's real risk. And we, as a group, stepped into the fire, and we proved that we don't need to be comfortable or 100% safe to do the deep work that it's going to take to unpack the ways we're showing up around our toxicity of our masculinity, around our toxicity of our racism, around paternalism, around sexism, around elitism, around the influence of our minds and our hearts and our relationships, around the feelings that come up and the feelings of aliveness and freedom and peace and rejuvenation that show up once we step into the fire and we own the ways that we are still suffering and still making other people's hurt and harm show up and experience in the world. As we unravel all of this, I felt alive, I felt heard, I felt seen, I felt like a leader because I've been doing this work and I continue to step into the fire. And yes, it was uncomfortable. And yes, I experienced things I didn't want to. And yes, other people felt uncomfortable because of choices I was making. And I know that my primary focus is to continue to do this work, because on the other side of that storm, when you're in the middle of the rain, when you're pedaling through the rain with your hearts fully aligned with what you're doing and feeling like you don't have to know you're safe to feel safe, and knowing that you don't have to be comfortable to make a huge difference in this world, that the liberation of your spirit, the transformation of your soul, that justice and equity in this world does not come from you feeling safe or protecting your assets or protecting your reputation. These are the things I've learned. I'm not preaching. I'm not wagging the finger. I'm pointing the finger at myself. I'm telling you that I've been afraid. I've been afraid to lose status, to lose income. I've been afraid to lose comfort. I've been afraid to lose safety or illusions of safety. And I've continued to show up and continue to make my life better. And I want for you to do the same. Now, I want to ask you, if you're watching, whether you're watching live, I see a couple of people are still watching, or whether you're watching in the replay, I want to ask you, when in your life have you been full of fear and you're moving through a big storm or a big time of transformation in your journey, or in a journey to examine the way you've hurt people or harmed yourself? When have you been full of fear and it's kept you from moving forward and had you thinking that you can't step into the fire, that you can't step into the storm? Is it when you knew you wanted a career change, but you were afraid of losing status and having to start at the bottom again? Was it when you wanted to really challenge your relationship and grow the sexual connection between you and your partner, but you were terrified of speaking up? Was it when your friends started to identify the ways that they were working on their own toxic masculinity, the way that they were unpacking their own racism, but you were afraid to jump into the conversation full force because you didn't know what to say and you didn't think you were doing enough? When have you let scarcity thinking keep you from diving deeper into confronting social justice and racial equity? When have you let scarcity keep you from confronting parts of your life that are really miserable, but you tell yourself you're okay with? If you've experienced those, and you've been in a position like me where you've kept your fear of moving forward, your fear of your fragility, your safety, from stepping into a big change or big transformation, or if you've let scarcity thinking keep you from diving deeper into confronting social justice or racial equity, I want you to put me in the comments. I want others to see that I'm not alone, you're not alone, we're not alone. I want to normalize that fear so we can normalize the courage it takes to step into the fire and do what's right, to align with your true values, and to create a safer and a better world. And if you want to let go of the fear that you're holding around showing up for racial justice, social justice, gender justice, and racial equity, if you want to experience the expansion and the sense of freedom that's on the other side of diving into that storm, of doing that work, I want you to drop a fire emoji in the comments. I'll message you with some questions, some thoughts, some ideas of how you can move through the fear. I'll share with you resources or concepts that have helped me continue to step into the storm and to keep showing up with courage and opening my heart to the joy and the gratitude and the excitement and the aliveness and the richness of my worldview and the richness of spirit that has come with stepping into the fire around unpacking my toxic masculinity, my toxic whiteness. So that's what I got for you today. I'm going to hang out for another minute, see if anyone responds. If you want this, if you want to feel more freedom and aliveness and to step into the fire of challenging toxic masculinity inside of you, or toxic femininity inside of you, and toxic whiteness, and you want to actually let go of that fear and that scarcity, and you want to show up differently, drop the fire emoji in the comments. Drop the fire emoji in the comments, and that's how I know I can message you and let you know, here's some ideas, here's some thoughts. By the way, I got some questions. So I'm about to log off here today. I'm going to hang out for a minute and see if anyone is responding, if anyone's commenting. I want you to remind you that you have the capacity to build the skill set and the mindset, create the life that lights you the fuck up. Doesn't matter if that we're talking about diving into social justice head first because you know now is the time, or it means diving into more conscious relationship with your partner, or it means selling your business and having a positive exit figure out what's next in your life and to actually learn to slow down and love what you've created, you have the capacity, and it's really simple. You got to train yourself to continue to choose love over fear, courage over comfort, and creativity and creation over unconsciousness and consumption. If you stack those continuously, those choices day in and day out, you will get to that point where you feel deeper love, unbounded commitment, and you will absolutely feel grounded power in every part of who you are. That's what I want for you. That's what's waiting for you. If you're not in Drop the Armor Dojo, I want you to join. I want you to ask to join. Let me know you're into it. I'll see you soon. I'll talk to you sometime this week. Those of you in the dojo, you're going to get a live most likely tomorrow, a little more training. Peace.